As was the case for Strictly star Adam Thomas, Maddie Roberts' painful and debilitating chronic condition took hold of her body out of the blue and has gone on to change how she lives forever. While arthritis is commonly believed to be an old person's disease, rheumatoid arthritis, RA, is an autoimmune condition that can strike at any age with no explanation and no cure. It is caused by the immune system attacking healthy body tissue, but it's not yet known what triggers this. In August, the Waterloo Road actor, 35, bravely revealed to fans that he had been struggling with the health condition since January and that following a series of tests, he finally had a diagnosis. "I've been in a lot of pain since January. It started with my knees and then traveled to my wrists, fingers and now ankles and toes," he said. "I never knew what was happening and finally after several blood tests and back and forth to doctors and hospitals, I've been diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. I thought that was something people, later on in their life get. But that's not the case, clearly." The dad of two has since been receiving treatment, but in the last couple of days, Adam has been in hospital, with him telling fans, "One day I will get my arthritis under control, but until then, more bloods and more doctors." Staying strong. Maddie, 25, knows just how frustrating living with the condition that people know so little about can be, and despite it affecting over 400,000 people in the UK alone, it is still shrouded in misinformation, misconceptions and stigma. She was a second-year student at university in her late teens when she suddenly became bedbound through the pain in her joints and exhaustion. She was forced to will herself around her top-floor flat in an office chair, and struggled to cook or find the energy to do anything. Some days she would go without eating a proper meal and would sleep for 15 hours. "I would sleep the day away, I wasn't going to uni," Maddie, from Wales and who now lives in Gloucestershire, said. "It was making its way around all my joints. In bed, I didn't even have the energy to take the duvet off me. My hands were so painful it was unbearable to do anything." Her symptoms first came about in February 2018 when she noticed her knee became stiff before swelling to the size of a football and she felt like she kept needing to sleep in. As an avid gym goer, she had questioned whether she had overdone it, but then 8 weeks later, her other knee grew in size. Maddie's grandma has the disease, so she was aware of RA, but had not for 1 second believed that is what she was experiencing. She had become a recluse, missing lectures for the rest of the academic year and was unable to socialize, with her friends not understanding why she couldn't see them. "I had no energy, I moved from my bedroom to the living room and that was it. It was such a shock compared to how I used to be. I had been going to the gym every day," Maddie recalled. "All my friends didn't get it at first. I didn't know what was going on, so I didn't really have an answer to give. I just had to say my knees are swollen and they didn't really accept that as a reason to not go out. But on top of that, I felt run down and flew and not myself. The pain was unbearable when I first had it. My hips were seized up if I sat down. My wrists just felt like if anyone touched them, I would have screamed. After my first knee went, most of my joints were involved." Maddie had visited A&E when her knee first became swollen and received an MRI scan, where doctors told her she had dislocated her knee and that it would sort itself out, she claims. But unable to take it anymore as the pain persisted, the student got on a train and headed home so that her mum could look after her. After her GP referred her for a consultation with a rheumatologist, she was told the wait would be at least 6 months before she was able to actually be seen. Fortunately, her family were able to pay for her to visit a private specialist within 3 weeks instead. Following numerous tests and long waits for results, Maddie was finally diagnosed with the condition, the same as her 80-year-old grandma. On the eventual diagnosis, which she describes as far from straightforward, Maddie said, "It just felt like it took forever to really know what it was and what it meant going forward. A week felt like a month because you're in pain and you just want someone to stop the pain. I was so poorly and I couldn't do anything about it either." She was able to have her joints drained of fluid to start with and was placed on medication, where she began to feel more human by Christmas. But she knew this was just the start of living with chronic pain. Maddie, a student of animal behavior, came to the realization that her dream career would be over, unable to carry animals and the other labor-intensive requirements due to her stiff joints. She instead went on to study for a PGCE after her degree and taught for 3 years as a primary school teacher. But recently she felt compelled to leave the classroom behind since the inflexibility of the long working days couldn't accommodate her fluctuating energy levels and symptoms. Now a National Rheumatoid Arthritis Society charity worker, she is in more of an accommodating role working alongside colleagues who understand her condition, but she still struggles to manage it due to its unpredictable nature. Tiredness continues to be a massive symptom, she explained. "I could sleep for a day if I wanted to. I get flare-ups. A recent one happened when I was about to go to Dubai on holiday with my boyfriend. It got to the point where I couldn't put any shoes on. It raises its head when I least expect it. It's generally controlled, but there are things I used to do that I can't anymore. I don't go to the gym anymore as I don't know what the best thing is for me and what to train. I still get out and see friends, I have 2 dogs to walk, but it still affects my life. When you have an autoimmune disease, you have to think, what does that mean for me? If you stay out too late or drink too much, anyone can feel rubbish the next day, but it's tenfold if I don't get enough sleep. My body is always fighting itself. It's still very random with no warning, so it is hard to be prepared and it's hard for people to understand that." Maddie argues the biggest misconception about RA is age, which can see her deal with prejudices. When she tells people of her condition, their first reaction without fail is always, "Isn't that what old people have? Everyone thinks to have arthritis you have to be over 60, she began. But it's not just sore joints, there is so much more to it. Medications make you tired, you have fatigue as a byproduct, and it plays a big impact on your mental health. You have this thing you constantly have to think about, what does it look like in the future? What does it mean financially if I'm unable to work? Often people say you couldn't have it, you're young. And I find as a young person, you're expected to just get on with it and it can be forgotten about very quickly." Seeing Adam on screens every weekend taking part in the hit BBC dancing competition has been transformational for Maddie and so many other young people living with RA. "When I was diagnosed I felt like the only person on the planet with it as a young person, so it's nice to know a young person is out there with it and out there living their life," she said. Has swimming, dancing, acting, everything a person that is 35 should be doing, but is actually opening people's eyes as to what it means for him. He has his hand splints on, knee supports on, so it's great to have that visual, but to also see him doing life. If he has a flare-up in the middle of Strictly, it could completely knock you off course. But to put yourself in that position, it's a really good advocacy for young people. There is a negative view around chronic disease. It can be down and somber, but as he shows, there is so much to life even when you're living with a chronic condition. We Are a Priority is a patient support program centered on sharing stories, information and advice with the RA community via their website, social media, news resources, and with rheumatology nurses. For more information on RA, please head to the NHS information page here.